Hello, welcome to my classroom. This is Miss Benson presenting week 2, lesson 2 of the London Literature unit. So this week you have been working on an extract from the novel Brick Lane by Monica R. Lee. Yes. So in this session, I'm going to guide you through the task and how to prepare and to write your answer to it. And hopefully you'll find it helpful. So, the task asks you to reread the extract, highlighting quotes that show that Nazneen is feeling nervous at the start. And your essay question is, how does the writer present Nazneen's transformation from feeling nervous to confident in this extract? And for myself, I've highlighted the keywords transformation, feeling nervous to confident, because those are the keywords I'm going to have to refer to in my answer. The prompts, the bullet points prompt us to remember to write about Nazneen at the beginning and at the end of the extract, how she's nervous at the start and more confident towards the end. We're going to use quotations from the text. In those quotations, we're going to look for what structural language techniques, beg your pardon, the writer uses to show that she's transforming. And what structural techniques, any, contrasts or things like that. In the quotes, we're also going to be looking at powerful words and phrases that she uses and the connotations of those words. Now, on Show My Homework, I've put a little structure up for you to follow in each paragraph instead of PEE or Peel or whatever you call it. This has been shown to be more clear and more straightforward, but also to help you get deeper into your analysis, so your answer should be more specific and precise, but also more developed and detailed, which will get you a much higher grade. I cannot remember if I taught you this structure in real life lessons all the way back when, because it was such a long time ago. But it's here anyway. The structure is, what has the writer done? How have they done it? And why have they done it? The what part is where you refer to the keywords from the question. The how part is where you bring in your quote, your evidence from the text. And the why part is where you write about the effect that R. Lee wants to have on us as readers. What does she want us to imagine about Nazneen and how she feels about London, including the techniques that are used to have that effect on us as readers. So once we've got our head around the question, we go back to the extract. And you should try to, as we do this, underline any words or phrases that show she's nervous right at the start but more confident towards the end. So, this text is an extract written from the novel Brick Lane by Monica R. Lee. It is about Nazneen, a young woman from Bangladesh who has recently moved to Brick Lane in East London. In this extract, she ventures out onto the streets of London for the first time. Nazneen pulled the end of her sari over her hair. At the main road, she looked both ways. To get to the other side of the street without being hit by a car was like walking out in a monsoon and hoping to dodge the raindrops. A space opened up before her, and she ran. A horn blared, stretching its vocal cords to the limit. The car skidded to a halt in front of her, and the driver got out and began to shout. She ran again and turned into a side street, then off again on to the right onto Brick Lane. The side streets were stacked with rubbish. Entire kingdoms of rubbish piled high as fortresses. Small patches of mist bearded the lampposts, and a gang of pigeons turned weary circles like prisoners in an exercise yard. A pair of schoolchildren, pale as rice and loud as peacocks, cut over the road and hurtled down a side street, galloping with joy or else with terror. Otherwise, Brick Lane was deserted. Nazneen walked. 4 blocks down, she crossed the road. She waited next to a woman and stepped out with her, like a calf with its mother, and took a side street. She looked up at a building as she passed. The entrance was like a glass fan, rotating slowly, sucking people in, wafting others out. Nazneen craned her neck back and saw that the glass above became dark as a night pond. The building was without end. Above, somewhere, it crushed the clouds. Every person who brushed past her on the pavement seemed to be on a private, urgent mission to execute a precise and demanding plan. To get a promotion today, to be exactly on time for an appointment, to buy a newspaper with the right coins, or to walk without wasting a second and to reach the roadside just as the lights turned red. Nazneen, hobbling and halting, began to be aware of herself. Without a coat, without a suit, without a destination. A leaf shake of fear, or was it excitement, passed through her. But they were not aware of her. In the next second she knew it. They knew she existed, but unless she did something, they would not see her. She enjoyed this thought. She began to scrutinise. She stared at the long thin faces, the pointy chins. The women had strange hair. It puffed up around their heads, pumped up like a snake's hood. They pressed their lips together and narrowed their eyes as though they were angry at something they had heard, or at the wind for messing their hair. Someone tapped her gently on the shoulder, and she leapt like a dog away from a snake. It was a man in a dark coat and tie. His glasses had lenses as thick as pebbles. He said something in English, but she could not understand him. She shook her head and said, "Sorry." He nodded and solemnly walked away. It rained then. And, in spite of the rain, and in spite of the fact that she was lost and cold, Nazneen began to feel a little pleased. She had spoken one word, in English, to a stranger, and she had been understood. It was very little, but it was something. So I hope in that rereading of the extract you got a sense of how Nazneen's character is really nervous at the very start, and gradually she transforms so that by the end she's more confident. So I have highlighted a quote that stood out to me, which shows she is nervous at the start. And I think it's the way that she describes the way the rubbish is on the streets, the side streets. It's described as entire kingdoms of rubbish piled high as fortresses. And I think what Ali has done here, and this is my what sentence, what she has done is that she gives us a sense of just how she feels nervous because she just finds it so intimidating to be in London. Even the rubbish is intimidating. Everything's just huge and overwhelming. So there's my what part of my paragraph. My how is this description here, the bit that I've highlighted. What device is used? Well, it's imagery. Kingdoms of Rubbish is a metaphor designed to make me imagine the rubbish being all huge and intimidating and grand and whatever. And then piled as high as fortresses makes me think of London being a place that's dominating, imperious, impenetrable. Think of what's the purpose of a kingdom. A kingdom stakes its claim down on the land, says, this is mine. I will reap all the profits from this land. Anyone who wants to take it needs to fight me and my army. That's what kingdoms are there for. And fortresses, they're supposed to intimidate invaders. They're supposed to warn people, stay away from this, it belongs to the king. So that's how she sees London, poor thing. She doesn't know where anything is, she doesn't know her way around, which is so intimidating. And not only that, but London is just really loud and garish and busy and frightening. And just so packed and crowded with buildings and stuff and people and traffic. And plus she doesn't know the language. So this place must seem really impenetrable, like the fortress of a kingdom, indeed. So in thinking about that quote, I've considered what it has done, how it's done it, and why it's done it, what the effect on me as a reader is. In fact, how does it make me feel? Well, I can start to empathise with Nazneen, because even though I was brought up in inner London, you might already know that I was brought up in New Cross and Deptford and Peckham, that sort of area. So I should be used to it being the way it is, London, really. But I'm quite a timid person, and I can imagine for people who are new here from quiet villages or smaller towns and other places that are friendly, it must be really overwhelming, it must be really intimidating. And as a reader, it makes me start to think, as I read on, I'd like to see Nazneen feel more at ease, to feel more self-assured, to feel more confident. So I've thought it through, and on my first of many attempts to record this lesson, I wrote out my example paragraph to demonstrate for you. Did I save it in this document? Yeah, I did. Well done to me. So remember, this is the question. These are the prompts that we're going to use. What has the writer done? How have they done it? And why have they done it? So here's my example. Ali has created a clear vision for the reader of how nervous and intimidated by London Nazneen's character feels at the start of the extract. Ali effectively achieved this with her description of the rubbish, quote, entire kingdoms of rubbish piled high as fortresses. The imagery here evokes a sense that London is dominating and making Nazneen feel weak and vulnerable. The reader can imagine the dominating sight of a kingdom's castle, warning all invaders to stay away. For Nazneen, who is new to London from Bangladesh, this must be how all of London seems to her. Massive, powerful and impenetrable, just like the fortresses used to describe the rubbish. From my perspective, Ali has created sympathy for Nazneen, and as I read on, I hope to see her gain confidence and feel more self-assured. Now, it's probably not the most amazing paragraph I've ever written, but it's the best I can do in the situation that I'm in, and using the prompts that I've got. I hope that's all clear and straightforward to you, and that it helps you. Approach this with an open mind. Just give it the best try you can. It's a challenging situation we're all in, so we're expecting things to go wrong. We welcome mistakes so that we can keep on learning. Forgive yourself if things go a bit wrong. Anyway, take care, stay safe, and hope to speak to you soon. If you've got any queries, don't forget you can drop me a line at charlotte.benson@thejohnroaneschool.org.uk. Take care. Bye.